Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Crossover. Starring Josh Johnson and Chris McGill. Featuring Christina Thorson. And of course, you, the Instagram live chat. Now, sit back and enjoy this week's edition of The Crossover. Powered by Card Ladder.
What's up, Josh?
Yo.
Okay.
Your screen is black.
Oh, no, I knew something like this. I knew something like this was going to happen.
Your screen is there for me.
Bounce out and come back, would you?
Well, I joined back on my Android phone, so maybe I'll jump on my iPhone.
Okay.
Stupid.
Yeah. I knew for sure there was going to be some sort of a glitch. Instagram forgot how to host our show. Publius says these boys missed more games than Ben Simmons.
False.
But not as many podcasts as Bill Simmons misses over the summer. Here's Josh back again. Bring him in. We have a lot of questions to get to tonight. No, it's still blacked out?
There, look, this is my iPhone. Look, this is my iPhone. Look.
Oh, no.
Good job, Zuckerberg.
This is all Zuckerberg.
Yeah, it's a joke. Like, he can't make the app work on Android, and then it doesn't even open on iPhone. So such a piece of crap.
That's crazy.
Whatever. I'll just imagine what you look like. I haven't seen you in 5 weeks.
Yeah, this will make for a much better show from your end anyway. It'll be like a podcast.
Yeah.
Okay, we can see you at least, but
yeah, the audience can see both of you.
Can you see yourself?
Yeah.
Okay, it's just my screen up top is not visible to you.
Can he see the chat?
Can you see the chat? Okay.
Yeah, if my iPhone ever loads, I'll switch over.
Okay.
I'll do it later.
All right. That'll work. Well, this is going to be really awkward because we start with mail days, and I have a ton of mail days to show. I'll have to announce the card, and then you can just pretend like you can see it.
I'll go to your showcase.
Yeah, there you go. All right.
What's your name again?
What is my name on there? Just search Trash PC. That'll come up.
All right. I found it.
I knew that would get you too. Yeah. All right. Well, welcome everybody to the crossover. Welcome back to the crossover. Today is Friday, December 13th.
Friday the 13th.
And we kick off the show with some mail days, and it's been 5 or 6 weeks. So I have a few. I have more than a few. All right. So the first one I'm going to show actually is the one that's not yet in my showcase, unfortunately, Josh, for you. It is this 2013 Spectra, Le'Veon Bell. Yep.
Oh, I've seen that.
Which is very impressed. Card number 221, 1 of 1. It's the only 1 of 1 parallel of the patch autograph version of this card. And it pairs nicely with, I don't know, I guess I'm calling it just the pure base version of the card, which this is also the 1 of 1 of the pure bases and the 1 of 1 of the patch autographs. First year Spectra, Le'Veon Bell rookie card. Really excited about that. All right, next up, my second of, I guess, 4 mail days here. This is in my showcase, I think. This is the 2019 Select Black Courtside 1 of 1 Nikola Jokic. Very excited about that one. After that, we've got some more Jokic's. It's actually,
that one's cool.
Yeah. This is a triad, a three-peat. These are all 3 of the true black 1 of 1 Jokic's from 2021-22 Select. The Concourse, the Premier, and the Courtside. So that's the second Select Black 1 of 1 triad that I've successfully built out for Jokic. And then finally, this one, biggest mail day of the year for us, the 2015 totally certified mirror blue 1 of 1 Jokic rookie. So This is a really fun, exciting mail day. Went into Chicago to pick that up from a private collector, and would like to say a big thanks to Brian Dennison, Cajun Cardboard, for connecting the collector who had that card to me, and then we made a deal. So that's it, Josh. Those are my mail days. How's your iPhone looking? Oh no, I think he froze. Great.
Yeah, he's blurry on my screen.
Okay. I mean, I could just talk about my mail days for 2 hours. Someone said, Illuminati initiation ritual. I don't know, man. What are we going to do here? Maybe I should just drop Josh if he's frozen. Let's just do that. Preston says Josh got overwhelmed by the Jokic. Not a single LaMelo Ball card. Not yet. But I really like watching LaMelo Ball play. Let's bring Josh back in here. What's happening here? He's made another request to join. Stand by. Still no dice?
I can see you.
Nice.
This is the iPhone.
Okay.
There's a little bit of echo.
Not anymore.
Oh, okay.
God, I'm going to throw my phone into a lake.
We're back. See, Zuckerberg, he's been having some problems this week. He had Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp go down, and he tried to block us tonight to make us look bad too, but it didn't work.
That's why we haven't done the show in 5 weeks, right?
Yeah. Yep, Zuckerberg was messaging us, asking us to just hold off.
Yeah, I deleted Instagram and reinstalled it, and it asked me for like all the permissions. That's what took so long.
Well, now we're here. You didn't even have to suffer through my mail day.
Well, let me see the mirror.
The mirror. There is the mirror.
Nice. Yeah, it is pretty similar to their PMGs.
A little bit. Yes, it is. Okay.
Look at this. These are all the select. You have 9?
I guess so, yeah.
Crazy.
4 of the court sides. 4 of the true black 1-of-1 court sides. That's the one I have the most of.
When did you get this one?
Which one? That is the most recent one I got. I got that from Shane.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one. That one's slick. That was my favorite year of the courtside design.
Yeah, it's a sick one. Shane dumped that on me after he picked up a triple logo man of Jokic, Porter, and Murray. I was happy to be the dumping ground.
It's a good title.
The dumping ground.
Okay. I gotta remember how we do this.
Yeah.
Write them down now, and then we review them at the end.
That's right. Okay. Let's get to some questions, Josh. And unless we have any card ladder announcements to make, we may have a few actually.
We updated CGCs. We expanded support out for CGC in collection feature, and Josh also wants to talk about what he added to the app with CL Value.
Yes, I do. I have a mail day, but you don't care about that.
Oh, please bring it on.
No, it's small. I've had
Okay.
it for a while too. It's just we haven't done the show. So 2022 Black Finite Cooper Cup. Last night he broke the NFL record for most distance covered with no catches. That's not a joke. It was like 4.79 miles he ran.
Wow. And Stafford couldn't even feed him the ball once?
Right. He was like he was in on all the big blocking play. Like he was making nice blocks, but whatever. All right. The app, the sales history page got a little bit of an update, with the focus being more based around the fact that you're on the app and you're taking pictures. So now we've got the camera icon front and center. So it'll shortcut everything and just open up your camera, take a picture of a card or a slab. It'll take you straight into finding some comps. And then the other thing is, here I'll show, take a pic. You can't see what I'm doing, but I'm taking a picture of a card on my computer. Take a picture of a card. And then shows you the comps for that card. And now we actually put the CL value straight up top. So you can scroll and see all the comps for the card and also just kind of get that one CL value. And you can see this card sold yesterday for 13.331. That's why the CL value is that, because it's a recent comp.
That's great.
And then CGC, like Christina said, if you add CGC cards to your PC with certs, we will pull the scans for you, pull in all the information. It makes it much quicker if you're if you have CGC cards back from grading.
So now we cover the big four.
Yes.
That's amazing. All right.
I feel like there was something else, but maybe it'll come to me later. I think that's it, though.
Okay. Christina, is that it? Yeah, I think we're good.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's get to some questions because obviously we had quite a few. We also got to see Drake's backlog or total history of questions.
We did. He did share that.
He's got a running note file in his Apple Notes of every question he's ever conceived for the show.
I noticed not the answers, though. Just the questions.
Just the questions. Okay.
It's the same answer every time. Just patience with the seller.
Yes. Okay.
True.
First question up is a heavy one from PLB Cards. Let's just jump into it. Anecdotally, I've heard of more people leaving the hobby than any other time in recent memory. I'm a regular participant in the hobby on Twitter, and engagement appears to be way down. Furthermore, popular hobby shows like The Crossover rarely air anymore. However, we all know that this is traditionally a slow time of the year, and I'm still able to regularly sell cards on eBay, and we see record auction sales all the time. Personally, my enthusiasm remains strong. What do you make of the current state of the hobby?
I'm taking this as we were gone for a month, and this question asker was really feeling the pain. There's no other way. I pulled up the monthly volume on the industry, and it is like a $40 million dip. So I mean, but it's not just that. That's not what he's talking about. He's probably talking about content creation maybe being down and seeing more accounts dropping off. But I'm not sure. There's nothing that I've noticed maybe with that of you.
No, I mean, I think the social media impact is very real, especially if you're somebody who got on social media 3, 4, 5 years ago and made friends with other people who joined at the same time as you, and about half of them have disappeared, and you're sort of like, where did everybody go? It's like a ghost town here now. My posts used to get 100 likes, and now they get 50, and I used to have DMs, and now I don't, and there's no story posts to look at. There's fewer tweets, and I think the only observation I would make there is that it's a mistake to necessarily assume that because our own network has diminished, that the entirety of the hobby ecosystem has diminished. And I don't think it has. I think that there's just been a carousel that has carried some people out and carried some new people in. And I think the new people who have come in are more focused on ultra modern. They're more focused on buying into products like repacks. They're more interested in buying into breaks. They were probably brought in through marketing mechanisms by Fanatics. And so you're seeing a similar level of activity. Like Josh, you just showed our monthly total sales volume chart on the industry tab. I mean, sales on the market for single cards are really high right now. But I also can definitely empathize with like people that we met along the way over the last 5 years. A lot of them have dropped off. And the thing that can make it really weird is like the people who were joining in 2020, 21, 22, I think they were heavily focused on like 80s cards and 90s cards. It was a demographic that was really into those cards.
Mm-hmm.
And now the people coming in are really into like ultra modern cards and more of the breaking and the new products. So I think it can feel a certain way, but in the macro picture, I think it's just been more of a swapping out people rather than a drop off of people.
I have 3 other distractions that are in place right now. One, the holidays. We always see a bit of a dip in activity. People are traveling. 2, the election, I think, pulled attention away from a lot of people, consuming people's reactions to it or whatever, and people maybe got pulled in that. Third is Bitcoin. Like, it's just been, everyone's talking about it, like, what's the price? It's at over 100 grand today, which is crazy. So a lot of people are probably like counting their Bitcoin monies and distracted by that, I guess, or at least some of the people I follow are very excited about it. So there's a lot of that.
Yep. Yeah, it makes a ton of sense. All right. What about, so we kind of analyzed the part about this question that's asking sort of have people come or gone, but what about just maybe from a different point of view? The question ends sort of with, hey, my enthusiasm is strong. What do you make of the state of the hobby? What's your personal opinion right now?
It's a little bit uneasy with like the Panini to Fanatics shift looming. So maybe that's how I would feel about it. Like, I'm not sure about what's going to happen with new products. Other than that, it's the same as always.
Same.
Looking for 101s, like waiting for some of those cards I want to come out.
Same. I am hobbying as much as I ever have, and I'm enjoying it as much as I ever have. So, okay, let's move on to the next question here. This one is from Kuma Bailey, and it's a statement. In the last 40 plus years of the hobby, there has not been a better time to be involved due to liquidity. Do you have any reactions to the statement, or do you just want to leave it alone?
Like, there's just more and more places to buy and sell. Is that kind of what we're thinking?
People throw around the term liquidity a lot, and I'm never quite sure exactly what they mean by it. My impression generally when somebody says liquidity is it means that they're able to very quickly sell their cards at market price.
Yeah, to like turn their cards into money.
Yeah, exactly.
I've noticed, like, I jumped into this football thing, and there's just been so many of the grails of the specific type of player I've been looking for that have come out all at once. And I don't know if that's just like the timing of the football season or people are capitalizing on like the black finite craze right now. It's just like all the top players, rookie black finites, have hit auction like in the last 2 months. So when I hear that question, that's what I'm thinking of. Like, people are buying and selling a lot right now.
Yeah. I'll show you what my normal experience was with black finites prior to seeing a few of the really cool ones actually get a chance to come to auction. This is what I'm used to. Is like Jared Goff's 2016 Black Finite 1 of 1 is just rotting away on eBay with a 200K OBO price tag.
Yeah.
And right next to it is what appears to be his true NTRPA Shield, the Platinum 1 of 1 parallel. So his 2 best cards are just chilling on eBay. And like that's what it always felt like prior to this fall was just, the Derrick Henry, which sold on eBay for 27 grand like a month ago. That card once was sitting on eBay with a 250K OBO price tag, literally. And now some of these have actually been allowed to come to the market, which is pretty cool. But I don't think it's going to happen often. So sometimes, we just get lucky. We just get lucky that they're available when we're looking, and because I waited maybe like 2 or 3 years before the McCaffrey was even seen, so it can be long droughts.
Yeah, there's like There's a couple of buyers that are just like buying a lot of these and then posting them on eBay at 5x what they paid, OBO. So there's like a lot of that happening right now. Mike Williams, NT Shield, and his Black Finite are both on eBay right now, sitting there. Just like random players, their best cards are just sitting on eBay.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Next question here from Drake's PC. I believe you all would identify as player collectors, but you also seem to be big fans of teams such as the Suns, the Chicago Bears, and the Arizona Cardinals. What drives your focus on collecting only specific players as opposed to collecting multiple players from your favorite teams?
I tried the team thing once, and then my team traded that guy like 6 months later. It's just really hard. It's like buying a jersey of your team, and then 2 months later, they sign free agency with another team. It's just harder to get excited about because there's ultimately these cards still have one player on them, unless you're collecting like retired guys like Steve Nash or something like that.
Yeah. I think team collecting could be plenty of fun. I've never really given it a real try. Closest I probably come is just collecting Michael Jordan because that was one of the teams I rooted for when I was a kid. That was the local team. I came up with an analogy for this because I liked the question a lot, and I was a little bit stumped by it. I think the way that I want to answer this question is like this, and we will admit at the outset that no analogy is perfect, but I came up with an analogy, which is music, being a fan of music. So I choose which music I'm going to listen to based on the full menu of musicians. And then I settle on which one I think is the best, and I spend my time listening to what I think is the best music that's available to me that I can find. I will still support local musicians, and I'll root for local musicians, and if it's a tie, I would prefer the local musician to have success. But I'm looking for the very best if I can with my music selection options. And I think it's the same with collecting. I think that even more than I'm a fan of a team, I'm a fan of human achievement, let's call it. And so when I have the opportunity to have a stake in who I think is the best, I'm going to take it, similar to I want to listen to the best music that's available. But the one thing that I'll say in defense of the team aspect is like the utility of rooting for the local team is that you have it in common with your friends and your family who are usually all from where you're from. So it's something to talk about. It's something to get happy about together. More often it's something to get pissed off about together.
Yeah.
That's how I would answer that one for Drake.
Scenario I thought of is like Brett roots for the Indiana teams and he likes the Pacers and he rightfully likes Halliburton and he's like, let me pick up some Halliburton cards. So then he has to also become a Kings fan because Halliburton's best cards are rookie cards and they're in Kings jerseys. So it's like you want to be a team collector. So to do that, you have to collect other teams because the rookie card of your best player on your current, it's just kind of strange. It's just harder to stay with it.
Yeah. Yep. There's also something nice about being able to control which players you're going to root for in the hobby sense, because you don't get to control who your local team is. You were just born into them, but you do get to exercise some choice in the player that you root for.
Right.
And these days with NBA League Pass and Sunday Tickets and all the other different apps that the other pro sports have, you can be a long distance fan of any player and you can watch all of their games and you can listen to all their podcasts. You don't need to be local to be able to get local broadcasts on the radio. You have podcasts. So I think the internet has made it a lot easier to be fans of players from obscure teams too.
Right.
This is another one from Drake. If we as a hobby have so much confidence in the card market and the values that we think our cards are worth, why are so many people hesitant to disclose private sales? And why do they prefer private deals rather than auctions?
Yeah. Because they want to be able to not have everyone know what they paid so they can sell it for more.
That's what I thought too.
That's just like the cynical answer, but it's probably true.
I think there's a big dose of truth to that. I've had to sell a few Jokic cards to pay for the certified one in particular, and just because I don't need to have a million Jokic cards. And during the selling process, as I was like putting them up on eBay, I was looking up comps, and if usually the comp would be me from like a year ago or something like that. I'd be like, so I'm tethered to this comp.
Yeah.
Like this, I'm stuck here. Like everybody can go look this up. One of the cards I was trying to sell, I had somebody send a card ladder screenshot to me in the DMs, just on eBay, just like, hey, like I can't pay more than this, and I'm like, well, you got a good point. Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
So there's a big advantage, especially like in the case of really rare cards that are hard to price, that if there's no comp, there's more, your imagination can fill in more possibilities for prices than if there is a comp. You're really you're anchored to it.
Yeah. The other answer I wanted to give here is that I think it is better to pursue private sales in the spirit of making the hobby more sustainable long term, keeping the supply lower, keeping the feeling of whenever a bunch of stuff auctions, everyone starts to worry, like the supply is increasing, all this stuff keeps auctioning, why are people selling? And we kind of like follow the prices down if a card keeps auctioning over and over. If they transact privately, we just don't get any of that sense. We feel like things are still more rare and being held, and it's better.
Exactly.
I don't want to see a card get auctioned 3 times in a row.
I think we see less of that now than we did a year or two ago, but it still happens enough to be annoying.
Yeah.
All right. Next question here from Kevin M. Cormier. Do you view collections differently in terms of interest based on how conventional they are? Like treating collections of the big names from important sets differently than sets that are more niche. So, for example, to me, Christina the Luca collector makes me yawn, but Christina the Maxi Kleber collector, now I want to know everything. What do you think about this observation, Josh?
Well, Christina can answer that one first.
Yeah, Christina.
Ow. Like, burn much. I'm sorry, my one-of-one Luca collection doesn't, like, rookie cards do not interest you, Kevin. But yes, like, me collecting every single card I can of Maxi Kleber, the bench player, is what gets you your hobby engines revving. I don't know. What am I supposed to respond to that?
Do you view it differently yourself? When you come across an Instagram page, do you get more intrigued if they're collecting an obscure player or an obscure set? Do you get bored if you see that they're collecting a more conventional or popular player set?
I mean, I guess I don't judge people by what they collect, but how they interact and the joy that they display in their descriptions of those collecting posts.
Not a bad answer.
Thanks.
I'm going to be a little more judgmental.
That's fine. I'm not as judgy as people think I am. Rude.
Yeah.
She's judging people who have judged her. When I come across a new Instagram page and I see the Kaboom and then the silver PSA 10 and then, you know, it's, then maybe like a pink cracked ice or something. Like those are the most three recent posts. Yeah, I really lose motivation to look at the rest of the page.
Yeah, I'm usually more impressed by someone that has, not a top tier player, but they have like a lot of their best cards, or they've like handpicked some really choice stuff from theirs versus like MJ Fleers and the same kind of stuff. I'm in agreement. Look at this total complete sidetrack. This has nothing to do with anything, but watch this. I've just been looking through your showcase and watch. You ready?
Let's go.
All right. You'll figure out my search term. So we got those. We got these. We got these. We got these. And then if I click this guy, what's going on here? You have like a full PC of every player in one-on-ones except MJ. Your entire PC is basically one-on-ones of everybody else.
Yeah, it's awful. I mean,
this is your Jokic one-on-one PC.
Yeah, I don't even know if you remove that search term, I don't even know if the number changes.
That's what I'm saying. Like I have to scroll, but if I remove 101, McCaffrey stays the same. Joke. It's like
yeah. Well,
freaking MJ. That did make me the question asked here kind of like not really say proves a point in your instance, but it kind of goes to like you just can't have like the sweetest, awesome, best stuff if you're collecting MJ and LeBron because they're it's just too hard to get it.
Exactly right. And then sort of the competing the competing like concerns are like I can have an MJ PC, but it's going to be a lot harder to have a unique PC. But there's probably going to be a lot more people who want to collect, and that market's going to be safer. Or I could go into a more obscure player and be able to track down really awesome cards, but is anybody going to care about this player? Or am I just kind of, taking a pretty big risk here that no one's going to care?
Would you trade your entire MJ PC for a showcase legacy 101?
I would, whatever the market value is on MJ Flair Showcase 101, I would trade more than the equivalent of that to get it.
Yeah,
but I wouldn't go crazy. I wouldn't like pay twice market for it, but I would go over.
Yeah, got it. See, I was more just curious as to like, you'd rather just have one of one MJ to kind of complete what you're going for the rest of your PC to match it than what you've gone for in your MJ PC.
I think so, but you might regret it at some point.
The other issue is that MJ is not from the era of one cards. He has a few, but he doesn't really have that many. You've got more select black Jokic cards than MJ 101s exist.
Yeah, exactly.
From playing days.
That's exactly right. So I once made a spreadsheet of all of Jordan's 101s. Let me pull it up. So from 19, so Michael Jordan didn't begin having 101s until 97, 98. And then in 97, 98, he had 4 Flair Showcase 101s for each of the 4 rows from row 0 to row 3. He had 2 101s from Ultra, the base set and the 98 grade subset. And those are a little weird to me just because the front side of that card is identical to the Platinum Medallion. So if you laid a Platinum Medallion and the Masterpiece side by side on a table, you would not be able to tell the difference. And then the only other 101 that he has from 97, 98 is a really weird card that Stanley owns called the Upper Deck Power Deck Audio.
Yeah.
And it's a white jersey variation 101. It's an insert set that can be played in a CD player, but technically it's a 101 card. And that's it. He also has 4 printing plate 101s from Stadium Club. As far as playing days cards go, if you say 97, 98 is when that ends, he's basically got 6 from Ultra and Flair Showcase and then the Upper Deck insert. And I don't know that any of those cards will ever reach the visibility or the prestige of the Rubies and the PMGs and stuff like that.
Right. You have one Jokic that is not a 1-on-1.
Yeah, it's the select gold rookie, and I need to get rid of that. I will get rid of that once the black shows up again. I mean, I've lost sleep thinking about the fact that it was at the Cleveland National, and I just didn't know, and I didn't find it.
Your Jokic 1-of-1 PC is low-key one of the most insane things I've ever seen. Dude, he's literally having like the best season like in NBA history, and you're just like sitting on his all of his 1-of-1s.
Yeah, it's a little crazy, but I need to trim it down a little bit.
He's basically Wilt Chamberlain if Wilt Chamberlain wasn't playing against plumbers.
He's Wilt Chamberlain if Wilt Chamberlain looked like a plumber.
Wilt Chamberlain played against plumbers. Jokic is a plumber.
Jokic is the plumber playing against the non-plumber.
When I saw this photo, I was like, what happened to him? He freaking, since he's gained 40 pounds and cut up his arms and...
Yeah, he just uses that fat effectively.
I love how all the Simmons podcasts are like, he's just like screaming at a beat about how he needs to get in shape and but Jokic, just get fatter, it's fine. Like, he just has like these dueling things that he's trying to figure out. Is it that like you need to have the LeBron diet and you need to have the hyperbaric chamber, or can you just be a slob like Jokic? Which is it?
Yeah, it's pretty funny. All right. Let's move on here to the next one from Splendid Sports, who points out Randy Moss cards have spiked since he announced that he has a health issue. What do you think that this says about the hobby?
That we're terrible people and we just want to profit. This is like when Bill Russell died and everyone was selling his autos.
Yes, exactly. I think around that time, and by the way, Randy Moss is certainly not dead, but he is experiencing a health issue. And right. I went and I looked at his card ladder player index, and it's up 25% over the last 3 months. Mm-hmm. So this is accurate.
Look at that one day.
Yeah, and it jumped quite a bit within the last few days. So
I would like to say that people are reminiscing on his impact in football, and they're like, I should own a piece of his memorabilia or cards, so therefore I'm going to buy them. Not with the intention of once he dies, I will list them on eBay so that people will buy them from me for a higher premium.
Yeah. I mean, basically, like, every all-time ranking has him, you know, top 5 at the lowest, you know?
Yep. I believe I've quoted this on the show years ago, maybe around the Bill Russell time. But I've heard it said in hobby circles that the athletes make money off of us while they're playing, selling us tickets, merchandise, products. And then the collectors, or the dealers and the flippers, make money off the athletes once they've moved on.
Yeah.
It's the circle of things.
Circle of life.
The circle of life.
He's number 4 all time in receiving yards.
That's pretty good.
And he's the only one in the top 10 that doesn't have 1,000 receptions. So he's doing it on a far greater efficiency.
Yeah. Yep.
And he has second most touchdowns behind Jerry Rice. So he's and a lot fewer games played. So he's a very efficient player with lots of touchdowns. So he's a very good player.
Jordan Cardman says the ultimate retirement. But Moss had a surgery, I think, or he announced that he had Moss might be around for decades more. So it's speculative, I think, right now, at a minimum. But I kind of like Christina's take that the glass half full, that this is the result of people suddenly coming to really appreciate Moss in a way that maybe they hadn't prior.
Sure.
And maybe it's like preemptive. Like, these are the people that would have bought his cards at his untimely death. But now they're like, mortality. Let me buy it now while he's still alive, and I can appreciate him while he's doing Sunday football.
Fair. Okay. Next up from Goats Card Collector. Deep question time. Collecting to me is a body of work that includes research, relationship building, investment, and reflection. Both of you have amassed amazing curated collections. Curious what your long-term plan is for each of your PCs. As I look at my collection, I don't see my kids or wife carrying on my passion. With that being said, do you see a time when you will cash out and call it quits, since only each of you knows the true value of what you've amassed and your loved ones don't? And if so, how do you gauge the right time to do it? What exit selling strategy would you use? I'm always torn on the value of my cards that can be used for within my family, but I keep telling myself it will be worth more the longer I hold on to them.
Yeah. This is always an interesting question. I don't give a shit what my kids think about, my cards long term, if they want them or not. It's just like they who knows what's going to happen when that day comes, of like what people are interested in, what sort of thing. So I never care about that. It's a hard question. It's like coffin card thing or whatever, like die with them. I don't know. It's so hard to predict what I'm going to be like when I'm 90 years old or whatever. It's so far away. I don't like thinking about things that far.
It's so far away. It really is. And then in terms of kind of like, what's the strategy that you would use when you do decide to sell cards?
I don't even know what I'm going to have for breakfast tomorrow. My strategy is so short-sighted.
It's so true. It's so true. I mean, I think it would take a whole episode and a lot of research to dig into that question and lay out like how I would sell all these things. And I think we've kind of talked about it before, that it would be a slow process.
Yeah.
It wouldn't just be, let's just send everything to one auction and roll the dice.
Yeah. I always laugh when one of the things that always keys me off to someone just being all about money and not giving a shit about the hobbies, when they're like, I think that, the 10-year horizon on this type of card is just, sky's the limit on this. 10 years. 10 years? You and I haven't even been in the hobby for 10 years, and look how much has happened and changed. It's like, get out of here. It's like when Gary Vee said 25 years from now, all NFTs are going to be tickets or whatever. 25 years, bro? Are you serious?
That's so good. Yeah, it's so good. And oftentimes, not always, the people who are talking the most about the horizon are the ones who want to sell it, and they just need people to believe in the horizon.
Yeah, you had that. You have another question. Maybe I can tee it up right now. Someone was like, you know what I'm talking about? And I DM'd you, and I was like, 2 weeks.
Oh, yes. All right, let's hop over to that one quickly. Okay, this is from 50 Zebra, who says, people say they are investing long-term into a card.
Yeah.
How long do most people actually hold?
See, like, the more that people say that, the more they lean into how they're holding it so long. It's just like that's just like code for, I'm looking to sell this pretty quick.
Exactly. Well, okay, we talked about Bitcoin a little bit earlier. The algorithm is feeding me on Twitter lots of Bitcoin content, and all the content is about how Bitcoin's going to be 200K next year.
Right.
And if BlackRock's advice is heeded by the world population that everybody should have a 2% allocation of Bitcoin, then the total market cap of cash implies that if 2% of all of it was held in Bitcoin, then the price of every Bitcoin would be 900,000 per Bitcoin. And I'm just thinking, like, you guys are projecting, 2025's Bitcoin, and then they're, the 2% Bitcoin theory. What about the 40%, the 50% that you just gained in the last 2 weeks? Right. What about that? That's just over. It's just, okay, well, on to the next milestone of, this next nice round number.
There's nothing else to talk about. All it is a number on a screen. Like, the only thing you can possibly talk about is, I hope this number goes higher. There's literally nothing else to look at. There's no analyzing happening. Because we we can no longer talk about how Bitcoin is like going to replace the dollar in terms of transactions. Nobody's using Bitcoin to buy anything, so that's out the window. So now all we're talking about, all it is a number, and people wanting to make money off of it. It's still, if Bitcoin was so amazing, why are we talking about it in terms of its relation to the dollar?
That's always a concern. I had an interesting conversation with somebody who was very bullish on Bitcoin about 2 years ago, and then we talked again recently after it went up to about 100K, and he was I said something along the lines of like, all the use cases that the white paper promised have nothing to do with why it's worth what it's worth today. And he was like, yeah, you're right, that's a big problem right now. And it seems like that's come to be a commonly held point of view. Instead, it's just more about, well, under the Trump administration, are they going to create a strategic reserve? And if they do, how much are they going to buy? And if they buy this much, how much does that take away from the supply? If it takes that much away from the supply, how much is that going to inflate the price of the remaining supply?
Everybody wants Trump to make their assets worth double, but also keep inflation down. Let's just have all of the things. Like, let's all be super rich, but then when we go buy other people's things, it's cheap.
Right.
Can't have all these things.
Right. Okay. So 50 Zebra is wondering, how long do most people actually hold cards? Do you have an answer in mind here?
How long do people hold cards?
Yeah.
Like on average? I don't know.
Well, didn't I think you ran a study once where we looked at how often graded cards end up showing up on eBay or something? Do you remember this?
Yeah, but I don't remember any of the numbers.
Yeah, I don't either. I think
you mean like for when they get it graded to when that cert shows up on eBay?
Yeah.
It was like 90% of the certs didn't show up.
Didn't show up? Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of them obviously sell at shows and stuff.
It ended up being the opposite of cynical was the answer. We kind of came to the conclusion that there's a bunch of private stuff that like we just don't see on eBay, we don't see on Instagram, but we're in this like bubble of Instagram where we feel like everything's moving and changing, but the vast majority of people are grading them, getting them back, and that's the last you see of it.
Exactly. And that's interesting. And a part of me says like, well, if nobody's ever holding any card for very long, like, man, I wish the 6 Jokic Prism Black one of ones that have never come to market would come to market. How come these people aren't selling those? Because I would love to get those.
Yeah.
So I think that there are some really highly visible examples of specific people and specific types of cards that get resold a lot because they're commoditized.
Right.
But there's a lot of examples too of stuff that just never comes to sale, which is unfortunate.
We could probably just pull up the I think I did it for like a specific card too. Like you could find for example, you could look at the population of a specific card in a specific grade and then see how many times that's transacted on card letters and just like what's the percent. Like the Zion, I think we did it for like the Zion was like 25% of those have been sold, if it's 1-to-1. And then other cards it's like 5%, it sort of hovers around that like 10 to 25%.
It's interesting. Just thinking if we want to say anything else to Goat's card collector who's just sort of struggling with eventually selling the collection and figuring out how to do it and maybe having a little bit of conscientiousness about, I have resources tied up in cards that maybe could be applied to my family.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm like you. I have a hard time putting myself in the mind state to properly answer this question because I'm thinking the exact opposite most of the time. I'm thinking about how do I get more better cards constantly.
Well, we've also put ourselves in a position where we've sort of like settled everything else in our lives. We've got our housing situated the way we're comfortable with, maybe some of our savings and our work environments all situated, and now we're sort of at the point where any new money that comes in that's excess is going all into the hobby. So like maybe you kind of need to get yourself to that point before you can feel comfortable and, use that paycheck excess after it's gone to savings and bills and stuff like that.
Totally. You know what feeling I love? I love the feeling of coming across somebody who has a card that I really want, and then just like sparking up that very first back and forth of the negotiation. That's just such a fun, like rejuvenating part of the hobby when that finally does happen. And it doesn't happen as much, obviously, when you set your mind on one of ones. Like,
right.
That doesn't happen a ton.
Yeah, you're like inside your brain, you're like frantically messaging them 1,000 things, but then you're like, sup. You just like real short messages, and inside you're like, come on, respond right away, and let's get this deal done.
Yeah. So we doing this deal or not?
Like, I guess your cards are all right. I mean,
yeah. It's also fun when that card comes to auction too.
Yeah.
And you just I don't know. I've really enjoyed that part of the hobby like last month. Okay. Sorry, Goats, Card Collector. I don't think that's going to be helpful. Next one from Collectogram. He says, please define collecting. Define being a collector. Or is it just a marketing tactic to buy and sell rare cards?
It's a marketing tactic. When we had that question earlier about, if you invest in something, how long do you keep it, right? I feel like some of the more savvy accounts are people that are figuring out what terms people like to hear. They're like, oh, this is what I'm collecting. Like they start to steal our terms, and like cover up for what they're actually doing. So they'll be like, well, I'm collecting this card or this player, and then it starts showing up at auction. It's like, well, now I'm just consolidating. So they're just like reusing, recycling some of our terms for what their activity is that's not really lining up. Do you have anything to say to
that? Well, I was gonna just try to answer it more literally. I like what you said better.
No, I like that. The definition of collect is really good. Did you pull that up?
No, I didn't. What is that?
The definition of collect is bring or gather together things, typically when scattered or widespread. He went around the office collecting cups. So it's literally just like taking things that are outside of your ownership and bringing them in and bringing them together, and they're sometimes related.
That's good. That's good. That's good to just kind of keep in the front of all. Is just collecting is a very simple task of just gathering things.
Yeah, it really doesn't have anything to do with selling. It's more similar to hoarding.
Right. Yes. So that's what I came up with. We used to have a great quote on this show 4.5 years ago when it started, which got put on a t-shirt, and which would always get butchered when I would try to repeat it, but that's what's going to happen right now, is sports cards.
Dude,
we don't like it ends up saying something like sports cards are good investments because we like sports cards. We don't like sports cards because they're good investments.
Right, you got it.
Yeah.
No.
I think you flip them.
Don't like sports cards because they're good investments.
Right.
They're good investments because we like sports cards.
That was like, it was pithy and conveyed something. And I came up with something kind of similar here. I was reminded of that idea. And what I came up with is a collector is someone who uses money to obtain cards, and a dealer or a flipper is someone who uses cards to obtain money.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah. I think that's the difference.
The end goal, like what do you want to end up with? And the dealer would walk away when the cards are gone. We would walk away when the money's gone.
Exactly. Yeah. Perfect. All right.
Isn't that like the casino versus the gambler?
Yeah, it is. That's funny.
Since we're throwing around phrases, George says, how about good teams win, great teams cover? That's another good one, George.
I also Googled, this is all AI now, because Google loves their new Gemini. Apparently the new Gemini is going to be better than ChatGPT. They always say that though. It says I looked up the difference between collecting and hoarding. The difference between collecting and hoarding is that collecting is organized and purposeful, while hoarding is chaotic and leads to distress. And it points out the task of organization is something that's more collector-based, and anti-organization is hoarding.
I like that.
Collectors have emotional attachments to their items.
Yeah. Yep. That makes sense. I just like what Collectogram is sort of indirectly getting at here, and that you put your finger on immediately, which is that it's not really about what does the word collector mean. It's about how's it being used, how's it being weaponized, even, you might say. And more of that is happening right now than in recent memory, where collecting has become a shield that's used to like block people from seeing what's going on behind the shield.
You know how investors, flippers, dealers, whatever we want to call them, they get really upset when collectors kind of like separate them from the, like, we're collectors and, we hold this moral high ground. There's always been that sort of feeling. The reason is because you guys keep using collecting to try to trick us. And so, we're forced to sort of like separate ourselves and try to defend, like you said, defend against it, because it's been weaponized against us. So we're defensive.
Yeah. And it's only natural that norms would arise that protect and uphold the standard of keeping cards and building a collection and doing things over time, and that they would move away from just trying to inflate the prices of stuff to extract a premium to then take the money and do something else with it.
Yeah.
That's what you would expect among a community of people who just actually like to collect things.
You want to know what the most important thing you've ever taught me in our years of friendship? I'll always, you know what I'm going to say?
I do not.
It's that these people can take whatever action they want. They have the right to flip, sell, do whatever they want, but I have the right to free speech, and I have the right to criticize what's happening, and I have the right to speak up against it.
That right is often forgotten.
Yes.
Yes.
It absolutely is.
Yes, it is. We have the right to not like something.
And Christina once told me that the right to free speech is something she would defend more than anything.
To the death!
It's important.
It's the most important thing in our society.
Yeah.
Christina Revere.
Okay, first of all, no, that wasn't the right person. Paul Revere rode on the horse to tell everyone the British were coming.
Who would be like the spokesperson of free speech in America? Who's like the name you think of?
Free speech?
Like if you had to just put a name to it.
I mean, like the country was founded on free speech because under the monarchy in England, you weren't allowed to speak up against the king or like the lords. So anyone, but I am personally, I like Nathan Hale, who at his hanging for treason against the crown, said, "My only regret is I have but one life to give to my country." And then
didn't plan on the history lesson.
Give me liberty or give me death is also a famous quote. I forget who said that though.
That was Patrick Henry.
Yeah, Patrick Henry. You're right.
Do you know who the primary author of the First Amendment was?
Ben Franklin.
No.
Thomas Jefferson.
Good. Those were both good guesses. I was. Yeah.
Madison.
Boom. James Madison.
Game's better than nice.
I was thinking Thomas Jefferson when I first asked that question, but James Madison. Now that I know he was the first author of the primary author of the First Amendment. There you go.
Nice. All right. Let's get to this next question here from Jake. 90s b-ball cards. He says, each year I feel as though I see a fair number of decent cards that I need for my collection coming up for sale in October into November. Then I start seeing a few more in late November into December. It feels like in January and February, there are many more that start popping up for sale, sometimes more than I can even keep track of, and I miss bidding on some that I otherwise would. Anecdotally, I chalk this up to people replenishing funds or paying off credit card balances from holiday spending. But is there any data to back this up? Do we see fluctuations in the sales volumes in these months? So we're not going to have any data that we prepared to answer this specific question off the top of our heads. But what do you think about this general idea? I have a thought on it.
Go for it.
I shared this with Jake too. I said, well, which cards are you talking about? What era and what players? Because if you're talking about 90s, which I know that he loves to collect, and if you're talking about players like Penny Hardaway, which I know is his main PC, there's also the seasonal effect with respect to the leagues, where once the NBA season starts and the NFL season's going, a lot more attention is being diverted into active players who are doing things now. And there's just sort of a drop-off in interest in cards of players who are not active. And then that interest is resuscitated once the season ends, and sort of this just cycle continues of like off-season, we think more about retired players and former eras, and then in season, we think more about the active players. And I think that's part of the explanation. It's just this is particularly pertinent to the set of cards that he's looking at.
Yeah, I like Jake's explanation as well. I like both of those.
Yep, I agree. Yeah, I think he's definitely onto something too. Okay. From Prison Mike PC. He actually had submitted this question a month ago, but we didn't get to it.
He's like, what do you guys think about the Eagles' 4-game win streak?
His more of a topic. A discussion should be had regarding Fanatics offering experiences as trade-offs for cards. The card is no longer seen as the end game, but it's now just a pathway to experiences. Fanatics is pumping experiences over cards, which then leads to stuff like the Paul Skeens card and the proposed trade for it by the Pirates team. Do you remember that, Josh, by the way, where the Pirates were offering season tickets for 30 years or something?
Barf, yes.
Yeah, okay. So Mike continues, I'm fairly confident that a modern collector who gets that card would have no problem trading it in for experiences, or they would probably shamed into trading it in anyway. To put this into the perspective of my own collecting, if I owned Brett Favre's best card, I wouldn't trade it for any of the experiences that he could offer.
Not even yelling at Brett Favre?
Not even yelling at him for taking that fake sack.
What about yelling at him for stealing money from Social Security and Medicare?
Those are unconstitutional. He's just doing the right thing.
So the statement concludes, a distinction needs to be made between someone placing a monetary bounty on a card or offering a huge amount of money to buy the card versus offering experiences for the card.
This is always my biggest concern with the Fanatics takeover, is that there's the potential of like some of the employees that work there that aren't rooted in collectibles. And if you don't like come from a background of collecting, you don't have a strong passion for collecting, you sort of like find yourself in these places of like, oh, I bet these guys actually want this. Like they say they want cards, but actually what they want is to watch the box scores and double the prices of their cards overnight, or meet the players, or have dinners. And that sounds great in theory, but a lot of times it comes off tone deaf towards collectors. And this is what Prison Mike is talking about. He's like, this is not what I want. I want the cards are the end game, right? It's the same concept.
Exactly right. Nailed it.
I nailed it.
There was a Taco Fractor promotion not that long ago, which, if I remember right, resulted in a year's worth of Taco Bell.
No.
No.
It was not actually like you get unlimited Taco Bell for a year. It was you got like some crazy amount in a gift card that they said would be like if you ate there once a day.
Okay.
Like that, like, but not like, yeah, for like one person, not your family.
So instead of a card, they're gonna just poison you.
I mean, okay, Kennedy.
RFK.
Yeah, well, something that I thought about as I was reading this, and obviously I agree with the point that he's making and the point that you've made. There is some thought that if I were to get that Paul Skeens card, that I might look at the package of experiences that's being traded and say, could I sell these? And if I could sell these, could I then use the money that I took from selling these to get a different card that I might actually want more?
Yeah.
Because that's one of the problems with the blind pack, people opening boxes everywhere model, or maybe not problem, but one of the consequences of that model is that the end user who wants that card is almost never the person who pulls it.
Yeah.
We have to connect them up somehow.
Is this meeting Skeens? I'm sorry if you already said this. Would you actually meet Skeens?
I think that was part of it, yeah.
Like part of the season ticket package?
You know what?
Because it was for him, wasn't it? Like, wasn't it for Paul Skeens himself? Like, he was the one who wanted the card?
Right, but there's like no scenario ever where I would want to be forced into meeting someone who is, or not. I wouldn't want to meet someone who's being forced into meeting me. It's like, this is so awkward. We're on different footings already. This is not what I want.
But like, I don't think that's the case because he wants the card. So like, part of it is like you trade the card.
He wants the card. He doesn't want to meet you.
Exactly. He's like, give me the card and here, let's have dinner, I guess.
He's not your fan.
No, but it's like when you have to go meet the person who like owned the card before you bought it from them. Like, do you really want to meet them? Not always, but are they gonna have cool cards and like you'll have a good discussion? Yes.
Yeah.
Let me give you the menu of things that were being traded. So the Pittsburgh Pirates as an organization would receive the 1/1 Paul Skeens rookie debut patch autograph card. And
which is like a legit fucking card. Yeah. It's not just a random like taco shit.
No.
This is a real card.
It's a real big boy card.
It's not a promo to like have this happen.
No.
Right. Okay.
No, this is a ridiculously awesome card.
Right. And
what you would receive in exchange, 2 Pirates season tickets behind home plate for the next 30 years.
30 years.
A meet and greet with Paul Skeens. 2 Paul Skeens autographed jerseys. A softball game for 30 people at PNC Park with coaching from Pirates alumni. Why would they do that?
It's like a birthday part. It's like your dream. If you're a Pirates fan, it's your dream like Sandlot birthday party scenario.
Yeah, wouldn't you be like, this is awesome? How about $1 million instead of all that crap? Because I don't want to have to show up 5,000 times over 30 years.
Yes. Just give me the money, and then I can go get the card that I really want with it. You know?
Can you imagine having to justify going to 1 million Pirates games because you sold a card 20 years ago?
You would have to move to San Diego.
Or Pittsburgh.
Like, no thank you.
The chat says they got to throw in an hour of quarterback prospecting with Roth cards.
Can you imagine being at a softball game with all your friends and some like 20-year, retired player from 20 years prior is like, you want to choke up a little bit more on your, look out of here, man. You're not even playing anymore.
Right. What do they get out of it? I don't understand.
Or they start yelling at you because like you're not giving it your all or something.
Just like the older that I get, I just like don't want to meet any of these people. I don't want to meet Paul Skeens. I have to sit there and like figure out what to say to him. Oh, right. Hey Paul, nice mustache.
Right.
And he has to like pretend to like me basically because I gave the card to this team.
Yeah, he has no interest in meeting you.
Exactly. mutual though, Paul. You seem like a nice guy, but I'm good.
Yeah, no, we want to meet you less, and we have to make that clear.
Well, he's not used to that, so it'd be really, really throw him off if you said that to him. I wanted to meet you even less, Paul.
Okay.
That might actually make him like you, though. That could backfire.
It could.
It could backfire.
It would backfire into a friendship, then you have to message him.
Yeah, you got like an extra DM. Like, oh my god.
Pay attention to his box score. Nice 3-hitter.
You're on crossover rolling your eyes because Paul Skeens keeps bothering you.
All right. Let's move on here to Vinny Slabarino, who says always enjoy the show.
What show? We haven't had a show in 4 weeks.
He's been watching reruns.
Oh, okay.
Pretend you live in a card world with no RPAs,
yes.
No numbered cards, no parallels.
Oh.
In other words, pretend that it is 1987.
He said that?
Yes.
Or you said that?
No, he said that. Nice. Do you think you would still collect cards? This is not a question of are you a true collector? This is just a fun hypothetical.
No. This is like, I got bored of Pokemon cards when I came back at the age of 28, whatever. I got so bored so quick for this very reason. It's just like, there's no difficulty. There's no way. You'd like collect your team set and then call it a year.
Yes. And even that era, if we look at the price guides from that era, you'll notice the beginnings of developing ways to create tiers of cards. So the price guide itself is sort of tiering out cards by which ones are worth more than others. But then there's also the whole condition thing where, I mean, that the function of that is there's something aesthetic about it. There's something more aesthetically pleasing about a nicely centered card with sharp corners and edges and good registration and so forth. But there's also something stratifying about it. It's being used as a device to create smaller groups of tiers, and this is the one that's in the very best condition, and then there's only X amounts that are in this condition, and then there's 2X in the condition below it, and so on. And so even then, without the tools of memorabilia added to cards or rare parallels and so forth, the same processes were happening. There was still the pursuit of trying to find the best copy of this particular card.
Right. Yeah, my earliest memories of cards and collecting are the like aspirations of me potentially owning something that none of my friends own. That was the whole point, is like, I've got this, you don't, let's trade or whatever, right? Let's like, we're trying to build out this hierarchy within ourselves. And I think in 1987, through some of those early 90s years, there was probably still a sense of some mystery because we didn't have the internet. So like, you didn't fully know everything. Like there's, maybe there's like a error print Frank Thomas or something. Like there was always at least some sort of mystery. If you had that structure today, it would be just nothing. There'd be no excitement whatsoever.
Exactly. It had to get there.
We got there organically.
Yeah, exactly. Had to get there. Oh, Eddie has graced us in the chat. Eddie, I'm so glad you brought that up, because I just saw an interesting stat the other day.
Oh, God. Eddie, you did this to yourself.
So Eddie says, what's up, guys? Are we ready to admit that Jason Tatum is the best player in the league?
Oh, my gosh. Why did you do that?
I saw this stat the other day, Eddie. The Boston Celtics are 9-1 without Jason Tatum since 2023-24. They actually have a better record without him, Eddie. So maybe they should just send him to the bench for a while and let Peyton Pritchard cook.
What's his PER though? Isn't he, or his
it's good.
Hasn't moved up?
He's like borderline top 10 in most of the advanced.
Dude, you better watch it, bud.
Yeah, I know.
At least it's only 5-1.
It could be worse, honestly. They're so good as well.
Yeah, they're having a good year. Dude, people are just like, there's literally a group of people out there just begging for Burrow, Ant, and Jason Tatum to go off just so they can just peg you with these questions. And they're like, he jumped the gun too early on the Tatum one. Best player in the league? There's no way.
Yeah.
Bill Simmons doesn't even think he's the best player in the league.
No, but I saw a really funny clip from a Reddit our Bill Simmons post where the commenter was saying, I'm new to this podcast and I usually like Bill's takes, but for some reason he's trying to convince me that Drake May is a top 5 quarterback in the league.
I think he was saying in a franchise structure, but yeah.
So
Tatum's number 12.
In which? In PER?
Yeah, because Porzingis is playing now and already passed him.
It's good. It's good. Tatum he's quite good.
And Ben Caro is 5 games. Daniel Gafford's number 5 with 20 minutes per game.
Yeah, Gafford is awesome. And like there are Mavericks fans who want to trade him.
Why don't they play him more if he's so good?
Well, I don't know. Who's the coach? Who decides these things?
Well, I'm just telling you. Would he be this good if he played 48 minutes?
Probably not. Not that good.
We'll never know.
He's even higher.
He's an idiot.
He's like 3rd in win shares per 48 this year.
Dude, Jokic is like 3 ahead of everybody.
Yeah, he's having a fat season.
And then Giannis is 2nd. He's 3 ahead of 3rd place.
Giannis is having a really nice season too.
Yeah,
and they turned it around. Everybody was writing off the Bucks a month ago, and now they look pretty good.
Wemby's number 9.
Wemby is quietly right in there.
I can't help but notice that a lot of the guys in the PER are tall.
They are.
Except Shea, who's always in the top.
Yep.
And then Butler.
Butler's quietly having a nice season too.
Oh God, I hope the Suns get him. He like dyed his hair orange. Like, please get rid of Bradley Beal and give me this guy, please.
Nuggets fans thought that hair dye was for them too.
Orange?
Did you see?
It's orange.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Did you see? Jimmy Butler's agent replied to Shams.
Yeah.
That was hilarious.
It was, but
what happened?
I don't know if I believe him.
Well, I mean, I saw Shams walking in New York once, holding on to his fiance while he like this, while like he looked down at his phone, and he had his head down, looking at his phone, and like was holding her shoulder as she like walked across the street, being led like a dog. So there's that.
That's just how you know he's good at his job.
That's how you know he's an idiot.
All right. Where even were we? Okay. Let's go to this question by Chrissy Buckets, who says 3 Debo Samuel 1-of-1 cards ended at auction simultaneously on December 8th.
That's wrong. It was like 20.
Well, good. Yeah, because I was hoping one of us would just punch in Debo on sales history and just look at all of his highest sales because there was a bunch of them.
Okay, I'll pull it up.
Yeah. So Christy Buckets wants to focus on 3 of them: the base black finite from Prism, the optic gold vinyl, and the select field level black. And then he points out that the finite went for $10K, the optic gold vinyl went for $3K, and the select field level finished at $1,500. And he would love to hear some thoughts on whether these price tiers align with market trends or if there's something else going on. And he points out that there were really only 2 bidders who ended up registering bids at the very top of the finite, and there were more bidders who were near the high bid on the optical vinyl and the select field level black. But Perimeter Collectibles pointed out to him that it's also possible that there were more bidders interested in the Black Finite. They just, when they sniped, they just didn't punch in bids that were quite as high as the top two.
Right. There was also the Black Finite sticker. There was the NT variation shield. There was the Black XRC from Select. There's another NT shield 1-of-1 rookie variation. There was a flawless rookie shield 1-of-1. The base Black Finite. The Optic Gold Vinyl. The true NT shield 1-of-1. This is his best card, right?
That's the one that sold for the most.
Yeah, it sold for a little over 10K. Here's the field level rookie 1-of-1. Also, this one randomly sold on. Oh, this is the same day. So this is also the immaculate 1-of-1 shield. I think that's it.
Yeah, I mean, absolute monster Debo PC, and I think the seller, despite selling into the worst 49er season in like a decade and the worst Debo season of his career, ended up doubling up on a lot of those cards because the Black Finite sale is in card letter sales history from 2 years ago. It sold for half of what it went for. It was sold for like a little under $5,000 last time, sold for just about $10,000 this time. Doubled up on that. Doubled up on the Shield, which he also is a sale that's in sales history. It's just amazing, actually, how well the seller did on those. Probably made out quite well on almost all of them.
So it's like 1-of-1 rookies of decent players will go up in value no matter what. That's the theory.
Maybe not always, but maybe over the last 2 years, I think not nearly as many people cared about the Prism Black Finite 1-of-1 or the True NT Shield Autograph Platinum 1-of-1 2 or 3 years ago, and a lot more people care about it now.
I've seen the Trubisky move hands recently a couple times, like all the top Trubiskys. That one seems like those probably went down, or like Trey Lance, some guys that were like way overhyped. But Debo never really had like a big market, and one of the reasons is because all of his cards were with one person. We never saw any of them, so the supply remained low. And it's like, where are all these cards? And here they come. And so people are like, holy crap, I haven't seen these for sale in a long time.
Yeah, and I do wonder, what if they had just sent the Black Finite to auction by itself instead of spreading out the potential buyer pool across his True Immaculate Shield Autograph 1-of-1 and his True NT Shield Autograph 1-of-1 and his Field Level Black 1-of-1 and his Select XRC Black 1-of-1 and his Optic Gold Final 1-of-1. I mean, all of his amazing rookie cards all at once. Maybe the total mass of them actually brought more attention because it was just such a spectacle.
Right.
Or maybe they could have done a lot better if he had just sort of sold one grail at a time, one per month or something. So, dude, I don't know.
He's like unplayable in fantasy this year. And he literally like lost them the game yesterday with that unbelievably bad drop. And he's been talking shit about how he needs to get the ball more and to get him the ball, and he fucking drops it. He's having the worst season. He has 1 touchdown.
Yeah, and not all of it is his fault. He got pneumonia halfway through the season, and he's been recovering from that.
Dude, pneumonia's a bitch. Yeah. My son had pneumonia. He's been out for like a week and a half.
Yeah.
Just out.
Yeah, no, it's a problem. He was definitely feeling the effects of that. And, he doesn't have any other real offensive co-stars. Like, Ayuk isn't out there running routes, and he's one of the best route runners. Like, Ayuk always gets open. So, like, that takes away a lot of attention that now can concentrate on Debo. There's no McCaffrey. Jennings is pretty good, but he's not. Anyway, yeah, it's just been a tough season for him. But do you feel like those sold high, or maybe we could even get to Bucket's question in particular, which is he's looking at the relationship between the Black Finite, the Gold Vinyl, and the Field Level Black.
Yeah.
And what do you think?
Think
about the relationship between those three?
I've always thought they were way out of whack, like 3x, and the Vinyl is a PSA 10, and the Black Finite is a BGS 9, which makes it even more of a gap, if the reverse to be even more. I don't know. The Gold Vinyl is a great card on its own. I get the Prism, like the Prism Black Finite sticker sold for double the Gold Vinyl base.
Yep.
And
that was the one that was most out of whack to me.
It's literally the same card as the base, just like a sticker over the top. It's just like I've always thought those were silly cards. And what did the field level sold for $1,500. I mean,
Yeah, and I thought that one went low.
yeah, I think. Would you rather have the gold vinyl optic or the field level?
So if it's just between those two cards, I'd rather have the optic gold vinyl. But if I could have if like the field level black completed my select black collection for Debo, like if I had, I'm not sure if he's in concourse and premier level 2, but assuming that he is, if like I could have all three, then I would value the field level by itself really highly.
You know what's nice about all these cards selling at once? It's really, really difficult to relate values of these different cards to each other. Like if you're a seller of a different player and you're like, oh, I saw the comp for this and I've got the black finite. I don't know how we do it. And it's like, oh, go check out the Debo. They're pretty 1-to-1 for this, and like the black finite's 3x the gold vinyl. Like it's not perfect, obviously, but it's a decent like hierarchy ranking of how they go.
Yeah, you'll never see that happen again. Where the same seller, the same platform, the same day, the same player during a period where that player is not being hyped at all. So
it's a really nice test case.
Yeah, exactly. It was about as good of a controlled natural experiment as we're gonna get for ranking those cards.
The XRC black sold for more than the optic vinyl and the field level rookie black. That was interesting to me.
It was raw too. The XRC black was raw.
And the other the NT shield variations sold for more than the optical vinyl, but the immaculate sold less. And the immaculate is in like a weird.
Yeah,
it's raw.
It's in a customized case. Yeah, it didn't look nice.
It's raw. Basically.
It's raw. It's 100% raw. Yeah, it's not graded. It's just in a vanity case, and it didn't look nice at all.
And the
main ones that I would disagree. Yeah, the main ones that I disagreed with was I thought the immaculate went low. I thought the field level went low. I thought the Prism sticker went high. I was really interested to see the black finite and the NT sell for about the same.
Right.
That was unusual just because it usually like in 2022, for example, when Mahomes' NT Shield auto sold for over 4 million, there was never the sense that the Prism Black Finite was in that category of card.
Yeah.
I think that come to think of it, I think there was a group of high-end buyers who were interested in ultra modern in 2020, 2021, 2022, who really prioritized the Shield and Logo Man autographs.
Yeah.
And they're just not involved anymore.
Yeah. I was going to say there's like this is a good example of where specific types of buyers think that that's what other people want. And that's like the investing thing to go after. It's like, oh, you got to get the Shield auto. It's better. But then when like the dust settles and like the true collectors make their case and all that stuff filters out and, the years pass, like the true value starts to surface. This is how I feel about Downtown and Kaboom. Like people just pay. I did a filter of cards that sold for more than $500 for Debo. The only thing that's ever sold more than $500 other than those giant ones we saw is all this goddamn freaking Kaboom and Color Blast and Downtown garbage, like standard, not even like the gold parallels. So like that stuff's just being absolutely propped up by people that just want to flip it and case hit break stuff.
Yeah, and also it's just pretty simple and easy to understand. Like, if I'm walking around the floor to show, like, oh, this is a Kaboom. So this, if I want to collect Debo, this is, or I want to get a Debo card to flip, this is what I can do. So, all right. Let's get to the next question here from the Jordan Exchange. This one's a little feisty. Why do you think football collectors value mediocrity and excitement over GOAT-level stats, scoring, and championships? Why do you think Vince Carter and Allen Iverson are not considered GOATs in the NBA, but you have NFL collectors pushing Randy Moss and Barry Sanders as GOAT-level players just because they're exciting? I thought winning and scoring mattered.
Wait, what? Isn't that the other way?
If I can read between the lines here because I've talked to him about this and I've seen him commenting about this for a while. He's of the opinion that a player like Emmitt Smith is wildly underappreciated price-wise in the hobby.
Yeah,
compared to Barry Sanders, basically.
I'm so confused. We're saying that Allen Iverson and Vince Carter are properly rated in their GOAT status, but Barry Sanders isn't?
I think he's saying, I'm not totally sure how exactly they factor in. The way I was sort of reading it was like Vince Carter, Allen Iverson, Barry Sanders are players who were very exciting,
right?
But they're not the Tim Dungans or the Emmitt Smiths,
right?
Who are very decorated and accomplished.
But there was comparison that basketball or football is doing it right and the other one's doing it wrong, or he's just saying everyone's doing it the wrong way.
I can't quite tell, but I think if you believe that it's a problem that exciting, hyped up players, cultural imprint players are more valued than players with far more decorated careers, then I think you have a grievance with both the NBA and the NFL.
Yeah, especially NBA in the 90s. But Barry Sanders is better than Emmitt Smith statistically, right?
I don't know. I have never looked at it.
You should. That's a bad example, sir. Stick to the Iverson and Vince Carter ones. Those are good examples. The Barry Sanders one is bad.
But I do know that this gentleman is very strong on Emmitt Smith. Smith's accomplishments and so on and so forth. He believes they're overlooked in football cards.
Yeah, that's cool, but not at the expense of Barry Sanders. I mean, come on. Barry Sanders, listen to this. Barry Sanders has 15,000 career rushing yards. Emmitt Smith has 18,000. Emmitt Smith did it on 70 more games. Barry Sanders averaged 5 yards per carry. Emmitt Smith averaged 4.2. Barry Sanders averaged 100 yards rushing per game. Emmitt Smith averaged 80. And Emmitt Smith ran behind notoriously the best offensive line in NFL history, and Barry Sanders played for the Lions.
Yeah, I've never looked at it. And I don't know that there are great, outside of what you just provided, I don't know how many great metrics there are for comparing running backs, especially from the box scores of that era.
Right. And 5 yards per carry to 4 is a big difference.
What about trophy cases?
Yeah.
If we want to play that game.
With Emmitt Smith, who has 3 and Barry has 0.
Yeah, so Emmitt Smith won the Super Bowl 3 times. He's a one-time Super Bowl MVP. He's a one-time season MVP, regular season MVP. So 2 MVPs is good. 2 total MVPs for a running back.
First team All-Pros?
4. He's got 4 first team All-Pros.
I think Barry has 8.
Okay, well, that's a factor.
Barry Sanders has a regular season MVP, 2 Offensive Player of the Years, and 6 first team All-Pros, 4 second team All-Pros. He played 10 years and he made an All-Pro every year, and 10 Pro Bowls.
That's tough.
Yeah.
They both were the rushing yards leader 4 times.
Yeah.
10 Pro Bowls. Not that Pro Bowl is anything much, but 10 Pro Bowls for Barry, 8 for Smith.
In way less seasons. Barry notoriously retired early because he was sick of getting his ass kicked in the Lions.
Yep.
Yeah, but I mean, going back to the question of cultural relevance and hype over statistical achievements, this is always, kind of a back and forth. The one that you've pointed out recently with the Rodman versus Nowitzki, which I found fascinating.
Yeah, we got into that on episode 3 of Card Later Confidential with Brett. So, yeah, I think it's something that's going to plague earlier eras more than it's going to plague contemporary sports and future sports. The idea that the history was written the 90s history was written at a time when there was just much less statistical influence on media narratives surrounding sports.
Yeah.
And now there's a lot more. And I think that's sort of part of the stumble here is like from the vantage point of today when we're evaluating players, we have all these metrics and numbers that we can use to make our cases. And that's just not how history was being written when it was happening 30 or 40 years ago, 20, 30, 40 years ago even. So that's always going to be a disconnect, I think. It's going to be really hard to convince people to go back and rewrite the history of that era when, using the standard of today. So, because if we did that, then like David Robinson would be elevated immediately, and
Right.
there are consequences to that. I don't mind doing that, but I think it's going to be difficult to get that done. All right, from Rip City Collection, are True Prism Golds or second year True Prism Blacks more significant for a player?
Rookie Prism Golds or second year Prism Blacks?
Exactly.
What do I think, or what does the hobby think?
Let's just say what we think.
I'd rather have the second year black.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's a tough one.
Yeah.
That's a tough one. I don't know.
It's a good question.
It is a good question. Yeah, I see why you opened with what does the hobby think versus what do we think, because if we did say what the hobby thinks, we would say rookie Prism Gold, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably not particularly close.
Right. Exactly. And so if you agree sort of with Josh on that, and I think I do too, then there's a great advantage value-wise, because the second year Prism Black is going to be so much less than the rookie Prism Gold that you can get a very efficient. You can very efficiently spend your dollars there if you prefer the Prism Black and it's that much cheaper. This one from ZSwish54. Would you rather have a non-autographed Logo Man 1 of 1 or a sticker autographed Logo Man out of 4?
Say it one more time.
A non-autographed Logo Man 1 of 1 versus a sticker autographed Logo Man out of 4.
I'd rather have a non-Logo Man non-autographed Logo Man 1 of 1 than a sticker 1 of 1.
Yeah, not even out of 4, right?
Right. So take the non-auto.
Yep. Same. Let's see. Let's just get to it.
Sticker auto is like a non-playing days for me. It's just like it gives me a really easy line to draw to say no.
Same.
Like you could convince me of anything, and I'd be like, "That's great, I love it," but it's got a sticker or something out.
Same. All right. Let's do. Well, Mike Pinkerton 50 simply writes in to say, "Is Fanatics in trouble?" Do you have any opinions on that? Do you care?
Is this like in reference to the Fanatics Fest? Maybe I feel like people were saying they're in trouble, but then it's back on. Something related to that, or like the company Fanatics, not even just the cards.
Yeah, I don't know. This was just a 4-word question. Is Fanatics in trouble?
Wasn't Ruben like selling a bunch of his shares or something?
Some shares were sold. Yes, they were. Some cash was taken.
That's usually like, yeah, that's where I'm like, say whatever you want, but I can just see that you sold the shares, so you just, I usually follow stuff. I usually key in on things like that.
Yeah. If Fanatics is in trouble, this is an awful time to be in trouble, because that NBA license is getting ready to convey in about 6 months.
This is the last year of basketball with this Panini?
Yep.
October 2025.
Oh, so in about 10 months.
I believe it starts with the actual season.
Okay.
And football, it's this year and next year?
Correct.
Yeah, football isn't until 2026. April 2026.
That's going to be so awkward that there's a year of Panini rookie football and Fanatics rookie basketball, right?
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that until just now.
Yeah.
It's going to be very confusing, especially to new people.
Awkward.
Yeah. Yeah. And there still is a big lawsuit going on, an antitrust lawsuit, I think, between Fanatics and Panini that still could add wrinkles to this.
So Cooper Flag's going to be Fanatics?
Yeah, and I believe he's already has an autograph deal with Fanatics.
So he'll have a Superfractor and a whatever the hell logo man?
Yeah.
Mercury.
Who's Cooper Flag?
He's like if Luka Doncic was from Indiana.
He's like
that's good, right?
Brian Tini.
So he's a senior in high school?
No, he's a freshman at Duke. But he's got to be the most hyped up pre-NBA player of American descent since Zion.
Yeah, totally. Let me pull up his stats.
Not even LaMelo?
Oh,
more than LaMelo.
Way more than LaMelo. He's going to be like consensus number 1 like Zion was.
I mean, LaMelo Ball had his own reality show with his brother, so.
Well, okay. He's averaging 16 points, steal and a half, a block and a half, 4 assists, 9 rebounds, 73% free throws, 22% from 3, 43% overall field goal. So he looks like a freshman to me.
Those are still pretty good numbers.
22% from college 3 is no good.
That is not good at all. But that could just be a sample size thing.
It's a shorter 3.
True.
10 games played. Let me look at how many attempts from 3. I haven't watched a single second of him play basketball, so he's from Maine, Newport. So he's like if Luka was from Maine. Didn't he say if Luka was from Indiana?
Or Nebraska, maybe.
Nebraska. He's just like, he's basically Larry Bird. Indiana. Great one, Bill. He's like, his name was Luke Don or whatever, Luke Donge.
So Flag is not in the top 10 in PER. He is not in the top 10 in box plus minus. He is not in the top 10 in win shares per 40.
Do you have those numbers from Zach Edey his freshman year?
But he is 7th in defensive box plus minus.
Because Edey was number 1 his senior year. You know, he's beating up on all these freshmen.
Yes, he was. So when Edey's rookie season maybe was 2020?
Yeah, he might have been had an extra year of eligibility with COVID and all that stuff.
Yeah, no Edey to be found in 2020.
He's 8 of 36 from 3.
Yeah, that's gonna hurt.
The real stat nerds look at free throw percentage to see how shooting is going to translate to the NBA. 73%. So
yeah,
not great.
Not great, but what is he, about 6'10"?
6'9", 205.
Yeah, so he's bigger, so he can do, he doesn't need to be an elite shooter. He can do more things at the rim.
Yeah.
All right. We'll keep an eye on it, Mike, but I would be just astonished if Fanatics didn't have a roadmap that included ramping up and fully expending resources to capitalize once they actually have the licenses.
Right.
So I just think right now, I mean, it would be the grossest mismanagement if they were already in trouble before they even took over the licenses that are the backbone of this entire plan.
Dude, he's also 17 years old. He's not even 18 yet.
Wow.
He was born in 2006.
Yeah, so he's good. I mean, 16, 9, and 4 as a 17-year-old going up against the best collegiate talent in the country is good.
Did he skip a grade? Because most freshmen are 18. I was 18 in college, and I was young for my grade.
I don't know.
All right, move on.
Maybe he's, I don't know. Okay. You know what? Let's just do one more question.
All right.
The Hustle Collector says, can we talk about the decline of BGS and the trouble with the law that their owner is facing? I know you touched on this a little bit with Mike and Jesse.
I didn't touch on the law thing. Did you want to? Is there anything there? I think Jesse talked about it, but I didn't really have much to say about that.
Yeah, it ain't looking good.
This is the owner or the...
I believe he's the owner of the parent company.
Why would
I
that...
thought he was already in prison.
I believe he is.
Isn't that good?
But
Then he can get rid of it and get new ownership.
Like, I thought he's been in prison.
yeah, I believe he has, yeah. But there's more charges coming and more things happening.
But, like, he's already there. Like,
And I think
it hasn't changed anything thus far.
Well, I think one of the revelations was that he took a loan against Beckett or something like that, but just maybe pocketed most or all the money, and it was a huge loan. I don't know. I haven't kept up on all the reporting and stuff, but
I think people were slightly more interested in the like gem rate stats.
Yes.
That Beckett is basically fourth.
Yeah,
they've basically been passed by SGC and CGC both in terms of grading cards daily, monthly. That it's like they're all, and then in the last year, like they're all starting to stack up where they're kind of moving down the rankings. Where we could see the trend before, but now we're actually seeing the outcomes.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was listening to Mike on maybe a different podcast, different episode, I think, and he was sort of making the point that he bought into Beckett hype. He bought into the idea that BGS is sort of always going to be an industry leader, so on and so forth, and he bought a lot of BGS slabs operating on that assumption.
Yeah.
And he was upset. He was not happy about it, or disappointed about it, maybe. Because the interesting thing about, or here's a zag. I always think of zags. Here's a zag. BGS, no doubt, has declined substantially, relative, obviously, to PSA, but also relative to SGC and CGC. And what's interesting about PSA, SGC, and CGC is that they all have been acquired in the last half decade.
Mm-hmm.
And BGS has not. But can we really say BGS has declined from strictly a how many cards do they grade a month metric compared to 5 years ago? Even though they are now pretty far back in fourth place, I would be pretty confident that they're grading a lot more cards today than they were 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So the decline is relative to their competitors. The decline is relative to their potential. The decline is relative to the infusion of capital and the business strategy that has come in and lifted up those other three. But if we look at BGS as like a small business, which it's not, but if we looked at it that way and we said, well, they're definitely doing a lot more than they were doing 5 years ago. Yeah, maybe they got left in the dust, but I'm not, the word decline sort of suggests that like they're worse off than they were 5 years ago. I'm not quite sure that they are.
Yeah, the more people shit on Beckett lately, the more I'm like, kind of feels like a sleeping giant, just waiting for the right team to kind of pick it up and take the name and the like very obvious, illustrious depth of sales history they have of cards in their slabs. Like, just go search price sort on Card Ladder all the time, and Beckett is up there just as much, if not more, than PSA. So the fact that they have that sort of prestige going back so far, and in my opinion, the name on their building belongs to the most influential and most important singular person in the history of the hobby. Like, to me, it just feels like it's, a sleeping giant, undervalued, whatever you want to call it.
Might be. I would love to, if they were to get gathered up and somebody were to take the helm and turn that ship around, because let's make no mistake about it, it needs to be turned around. It'd be pretty cool if they joined PSA and SGC.
Yeah.
But I have to also say this. I lost all motivation to, let's just say, defend BGS ever again when they temporarily introduced the change in grading scale a few years ago. And the reason why that was just so off-putting to me, and it really just like shook my faith to the core, was that like I probably had like 30 BGS 9.5s in my collection at that time, and they were proposing turning all the min gem 9.5s, they were proposing downgrading all of them to mint pluses. That would have downgraded like 90% of my BGS gem mints to mint plus overnight. And that would have just been, unbelievable.
And it took the hobby being like, don't do that or we'll fucking never grade ever. And then they retracted it.
Yeah. I just, that, and like, boo-hoo, my gem mint turns into a mint plus. Like, who cares? Boo-hoo. It's not, that part sucks, but the part that sucks more was just how totally tone deaf it is.
Yes.
To downgrade so many cards that have been in these slabs for so long. It just really did not seem to even slightly care about anybody who owned any BGS slabs, and it was just totally geared towards a marketing gimmick going into the future.
That's like my same concern, the tone deaf, when you said that. It's my same concern with Fanatics, where it's like, we're going to introduce this, we don't care about logo mans anymore. We're doing this. And the hobby's like, God, are you kidding me? Like, all we care about is the logo man from that product. Make that work. Or it says something to that effect where it's like a super obvious blunder where the whole hobby is like, what? Undo that right now. We're just going to ignore that.
Exactly. Exactly. All right. Let's wrap things up right there. I do have a few titles that I was able to gather.
I haven't seen the chat move since the first 5 minutes.
Oh, no! Come on, Zuck!
I just am like pretending like it's not real, just to like ignorance is bliss kind of thing, but...
Oh, it was a good chat tonight.
It wasn't that funny. Don't worry about it. You didn't miss that.
You guys
did not bring their A game.
You guys didn't reference it that many times. I was paying attention to that, so I'm like, maybe I got lucky.
You got lucky.
You said something about Eddie, and I was like, I don't know what's going on.
Oh, Eddie did pop in. Okay. Eddie just came in to pump up Tatum for a few minutes.
Yeah, and you got
take a little bit of abuse and then just leave.
So
kind of like all of Tatum's like teammates every day.
He was not counting on that 9-1 just coming at him that fast. I guarantee you that. All right. Titles.
He's the modern day Kobe.
Title suggestions. First up, Trash PC.
Oh, that's what you called your own PC.
Mine. Yeah, that was mine. I was happy to be the dumping ground.
Just like Zuck might remove our video if that's our title.
Starting to make sense why Zuck is throttling us.
Throttling us. There you go.
Something to get pissed off about together.
I like that. Nothing bonds me more than that.
Yes. Circle of life.
What was that in reference to?
That what was that in reference
Something
to?
about like flippers doing
It
something.
usually is.
I thought it was about like players dying.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah, Randy Moss.
So bad.
Like you make money off of us.
Yeah.
We make money off of you when you're dead. The circle of life.
Yeah.
Strategy. I don't know what I'm having for breakfast.
I love the random things that make you guys giggle. Like I'll say something I think's funny, and you both don't react. I'm like, oh, whatever, chalk that one away. I'll remember that. And then I say something stupid.
Yeah, but it's just hard to use the show as a gauge, just because like once in a while I'll go back and listen, and I'll hear things that I missed because I'm thinking in my own stupid head and not completely paying attention.
Yeah. That happens all the time. You're reading the question and I'm not even listening.
It's okay. It happens all the time. You guys just talk and I don't listen.
What do you?
See, he wasn't even listening to you right there.
She was
he
not.
Wasn't even listening to you.
What would you say, just randomly? What if we like truncated this to 90 minutes? Would that be better for all of our focuses? Just an idea. Just think about it. All right, we have SUP.
I like that one.
I love that one. You need the context of it because it was so funny thinking about how that works. You have all these things and you just go in with the SUP.
I don't know.
Because nobody actually texts SUP anymore, you know?
True.
Millennials.
The right to not like something. That is a very important right. And then the last one is, hey, Paul, nice mustache. So.
I see Ken coming in and being like, you were talking about my son?
I don't think he has a mustache yet. I don't know.
Oh, I know, but...
Oh, Stiff says SUP is also fire because the show has been gone for 5 or 6 weeks. That's true.
Pretty good. You could do the SUP with like the emoji where the guy's like peeking up over like, hey.
What's it called?
You know what I'm talking about?
What word do I have to type in to get that to come up?
Ugh.
What do you mean?
You know what I'm talking about though?
Over.
Peeking. It's like he's peeking over a wall or something.
You mean the laptop?
Is he? Yeah, he's like looking over his laptop maybe.
DM it to me after the show.
This one?
So I can copy it.
That one, Josh?
I can't see.
He can't see the
Oh,
chat.
fudge.
Oh, the guy just looking over the top of his laptop? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, he's like, SUP.
Yeah, that's good. All right, that's it.
We've been buried in our laptops and we're back.
That's good. Stiff cast the... Stiff was like the vice president gets to like cast the deciding vote if the Senate split.
Yeah.
Like when
it's like the only power they have.
Like that's when Trump got so mad at Pence.
Yeah.
Stiff came in and cast the vote. Okay.
It's nice when someone else just decides for you and you don't have to.
It is nice. Don't have to think.
Hour and a half.
We do a lot of thinking in 2 hours.
Hour and a half? That could be good. I feel like we did that
I was just
once.
thinking about it.
I feel like we did that once.
Yeah.
Couple of years ago when we used to do the show.
Yeah, I also just feel like we have like a new lease on this because it's been a little while since we did it. So like we have some flexibility before we settle into any new habits.
Why does everybody want to know why we were gone?
Do they?
Dude, that's like most of the DMs I got. Like, what's going on? What are you guys? Because maybe they thought we were never coming back, and I'm just like, none yet.
Drake told me that people were asking him what's going on with crossover.
Yeah, it's like I didn't feel like it. That's what happened.
I get really mad at Bill Simmons when he takes off a month or so over the summer, so I get it.
You remember how we came up with this thing of like, if Kawhi can miss a certain amount of games and still get first team, we had the same logic? Well, we had a lot of leeway at the end, so we used it all up at the end.
We had a bunch of PTO to use.
This is like the PTO that you use at the end of the year.
Exactly. Okay, all right. See you guys next week, maybe.
We reach See why Card Ladder is the most respected sports card analytics app on the market. We have virtually every card in our system. If the card you are looking for ever sold on one of these platforms, you can find it using Card Ladder's sales history. Easily find recent comps and get a better estimate what your cards are worth. See why Card Ladder is the most trusted and the most reliable sports card analytics app on the market. We know what you want, because Card Ladder was created by collectors for collectors. Join the innovators, not the imitators. Card Ladder, constantly innovating. Try it for free. See why Card Ladder is the industry leader in sports card data. Card Ladder. We're just getting started.